In this video today, we're going to talk about hoop farming, the pros and cons. If you drive through the country in Amish country, like I have the privilege of doing, I started noticing there were lots and lots and lots of these plastic hoops going up. And I actually always considered them hoop barns. With some research, I've realized that most of these have produce in them. So that it's actually called hoop farming. And I started to wonder, what are the pros and cons of doing this? Obviously, it must be lucrative, it must be profitable, because as you can see in my video, this is not unusual just to be driving down the road and see these huge hoop barns or hoop greenhouses in many Amish properties. And some of them are as long as 100 feet long. They're huge. I had the privilege of being able to go inside of one. I was always curious, what do they look like on the inside? Is it a bunch of tables? Are they planting into the soil? Or are they just full of junk? Are they really barns? Is that a great way of hiding things? So what we're going to do today is take a tour inside some of the barns, and then we're going to talk about some of the pros and cons of owning this hoop greenhouse, hoop barn, whatever you want to call it. Before we get started looking at the Amish barns, because I was able to get some video on the inside, I've been dying to know what they look like, and I'm going to show it to you. But I have to show you our hoop barn. This is the English version. We, last winter, put a hoop barn up to put some of our equipment. We thought, instead of using, we've got a whole new plan back there. We're trying to tear stuff out and put the equipment in there. But we thought we would go get a hoop barn, and this is what it looks like. You can see behind me. Here we go. So this is what's left of it. We had this up. My husband had a beautiful little hoop shelter up. We were so proud of it last winter. We had our bobcat in there and a tractor, and you know, it had everything protected. And then we got an ice storm, and everything ended up being a mess. You can see how the wind and the ice just blew it down, and this is what's left of it. So now we're going to plan B. But I admire the Amish. They have so many of them and they keep them up. But from talking to them, they said they have the same problems. You really have to make sure they're secure and hope that the wind doesn't get a hold of it and take it. So we're not the first person that this has happened to. I did discover that most of these huge hoop greenhouses are full of produce. It's for growing produce, and it helps to extend the season for them to grow the produce, because you've got it under the shelter and it's not susceptible to all of the weather. It helps to protect it, and you'll get a higher yield. You can continue to grow during the winter, and I'll show you some pictures of that later, where some of the barns do have heat inside of them. So it just depends on what that farmer wants to produce and what they're doing with it. Many of our farmers bring their produce to the local auction, and some of them just set up stands and sell at different locations that way. And they, of course, provide for their families. The next question is, do they still continue to plant outside? Is this something that's going to replace that? Absolutely not. It's not a replacement. It's just to help get higher yields and certain produce. As you can see here, there's fields and fields and fields of produce that are outside as well, and that's typical to see on many of these farms. All right, let's go get inside of a hoop barn and see what they look like. Before we went into this first one, though, I have to show you that we had a little bit of a distraction. As we were walking to the greenhouse, we noticed a blackberry bush, and we could hear little meowing sounds. And my husband and I were just looking, and we could see all these little kittens inside the blackberry bush. So humor me, if you will. I just had to share this with you as a little interruption of our tour, and then we'll get right into the greenhouse, I promise you. But you have to see this. It is adorable. I told you they were adorable. All right, let's go inside. This is what we've all been waiting for, and let's see what is going on inside of these greenhouses. This particular one actually did have tables. When we walked in, we could see onions. There was a heater in here as well, so that they can continue to grow produce in this particular building during the winter time. And it also had little sets where you could start growing your seeds. And you'll see those in just a moment as we kind of walk around in here. This one, like I said, is already been harvested, and they're just getting ready to sell them at the market, at the auction. And there you have your wood burning stove that's going to produce the warmer temperature so that they can continue to grow during the winter time. When the sun's not out and we don't have our solar energy, correct? And then here you can see some old seed sets here, new ones that they've put in so that they continue to grow. All right, so as you can see, there's also some of the barns or greenhouses that were empty, and they are growing on the land, which I did not know. I thought that everything was on a table personally. So those areas have to be plowed and planted just like you would outside. Here's another greenhouse that has tomatoes in it, and you can see it can take hundreds and hundreds of plants. So the production is huge. It's not like a little family garden. It's actually becomes a business, and the family, that's one of their streams of income. I have found that most Amish families have more than one stream of income. So what are some of the plants that they grow in their greenhouses? They actually can grow anything, but some of the most profitable produce that you can grow and actually be able to turn around and sell are onions, turnips, beets, carrots, salad mix. You can continue to have that throughout the winter, spinach, kale, tomatoes. So that's just an example of some of them. One of the questions I did want to answer was the pros and cons. And basically the biggest con is that the wind can blow the building down if you don't have it secured. It does not have a foundation, so that turns it into a pro. In our county, in our area, if a building is not grounded and does not have a foundation, you do not pay taxes on it. However, if you were to put up a shelter and then put concrete, you would have to pay taxes on that building. So this building is grounded to the dirt with ties and cinder blocks. It can be moved and you do not pay taxes as of now. That may change going forward, but up right now, that's a definite plus. I do have another video where our local greenhouse uses lots of these big hoop facilities, and you can take a tour of that as well. They use one of them to grow their seedlings for their flowers, and then there's a big tour and you can see all the different produce plants that you can go in and buy for your own farm, and also go ahead and buy the plants. Now, one of the things I wanted to point out, if you look at this picture here, it has flooring on it, if that makes sense. And on that flooring, that helps it so that the flooring that you see there is actually a mesh. We also use this mesh in our driveway, but I cannot say enough about this stuff. I bought some from the local greenhouse that you just saw the video clip for, and I put it down in my garden this year, and I did not have any weeds grow up. And it is the best investment I have ever made in my entire life, because I have tried gravel, I've tried bark, I've tried all kinds of things to keep that from weeds growing, and that's the part of gardening that I hate. I hate the weeds and all of that, especially in the pathways. So I highly recommend that you check this stuff out. I have a link here that goes to Amazon, but yes, and it's affiliate link. You can help me out. It's just a small little perk I get, but I cannot emphasize enough how you need to get this and check it out. We also started putting it in our driveway as well, and we've been very pleased with it. It's really tough, and it's not like putting plastic down. It's a lot tougher than that. It does not tear. So just a little perk there before we go. Thank you guys for watching. I hope you enjoyed the video. I hope you learned something new, and I hope you enjoyed those little kittens in the blackberry bush. I thought that was precious. Thank you for sticking around to the end. You have a blessed day. Give me a comment below and thumbs up and subscribe. I'm excited to give you more videos just like this in the future.